Good afternoon. Right, I think that's me. I don't know whether we've got any viewers left or on. Had a little bit of a false start there with my Google playing up, but welcome to this afternoon's Google Hang with Skoog Music. Getting to grips with the Skoog. This is a Skoog here, and it's a soft, tactile, and I've just got on a mount. I'm going to take it off this mount actually now just to show you. USB device. It's a cube with colourful kind of domes on each side, and this, as an interface, is specifically designed for enabling young people with a range of abilities to be able to engage in music making on a range of different platforms. So I'm here to give you a quick tour of the software, what it can do, and show you some examples of how it can be used, and also to show you a bit about the resources. And one of the things that has come on really come on in the past few years, and Skoog started in 2010, as specifically the bespoke interface with its own software program. And then what's really been developed, as well as functionality with the software, is a range of resources to help people in the field use Skoog and apply it and support and enable and empower the young people that they're working with to make the music that they want to make. And that's what we're passionate about here. So looks like we've got one viewer at the moment. Hopefully we'll have a few more shortly. So Skoog is this USB device, and I'm just going to, actually I'll just come out of my software, the Skoog software. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a screen share with you in a little bit, just so that you can see software working. But we're going to start from first principles, and I'm going to show you how to set up your Skoog. Now, I'm just going to start the software on my machine. In fact, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a screen share. I'll keep a video feed of myself for you as well, so you can still see how I'm interacting with the Skoog. So I'm going to start this screen share. I'm just going to move the Google window all over a bit. I wonder, there we go. Now hopefully you guys can see my screen. And now I'm going to start my Skoog software, and let's pull up the video feed. So that should be me. So I should be back on live and direct. So I've just started the Skoog Music software. Now, importantly, the software that comes with Skoog, I need to set the Skoog up and change things about it. It's Mac and PC compatible, and the software that ships with Skoog is essentially a roaming site license. So it means you can install it even if you have just one Skoog as a school or a therapist or a practitioner or as a district, then you have one Skoog, but you can install that on multiple machines and in different platforms. So when I start my software, it says awaiting connection. Three important little things here. It says make sure when you plug your Skoog in that it's flat, or if it's going to be used on a fixed mount, it needs to be on that mount fixed to how it's being used. You can fiddle around with it after the fact and then recalibrate it, but essentially when you plug the Skoog in, it calibrates. So I'm going to set up and calibrate my Skoog, and what I have to do here, I've got a USB connection, and boom, there we go. That's all there is to it. Simple plug and play. So we plug that in, software says connection established. One moment please. There we go, and now we should be once it gets its act together and starts installing. One thing that I do want to do quickly is we did have an initial question at the start of this hang about funding options. So what I'm going to do is in the group chat here, I'm going to type up a little link. We've got a section on our website which has got some funding suggestions, and it's just at www.skoogmusic.com/funding. Now there's some examples there of different charities that we know of funded Skoogs in the past and helped with infrastructure buys in that sense. And also you can also try someone like Soundbeam have got on their download section, if you type in Soundbeam funding, they've got again links to organisations that fund technology, assistive technology in reference to making music. So start my software, and hopefully you can all hear my Skoog, which is set to play a flute. And essentially it's this squeezy, friendly, squashy object. And using this, I can play a whole range of different instruments intuitively through touch. Now, it doesn't have to be my hands. You can play it with your nose, with your chin, with your face, with your knee, with your elbow, with your body, depending on how you have the Skoog. And one of the key things is how you present it. One of the reasons for its shape and size is to facilitate that. You know, if it was a big tabletop mounted device, there's only a certain number of orientations that you can get to in that. Whereas with the Skoog like this, it can be on a tabletop, it can be shared, it can be tucked in beside someone, it can be taken into the lap. It supports a range of different applications and being used in different ways. So essentially you have this squeezy device, and when it does do, the software is really quite deep. I mean, it has lots of presets and lots of built-in materials and downloadable resources that allow you to, make music very quickly, get us up, and it really is designed for people with no musical knowledge at all. But if you are into music tech and you do have a deeper understanding of composition and things, then you can take it much further. And hopefully, if you don't have those things through using Skoog, you will get into those things and start doing that more. So let me give you a very quick tour of the software, and then we're going to have a look at some different users of Skoog and see how they are doing what they're doing and show you how to do the software. So we get feedback as to where we're touching it. We can change the sensitivity, so at the moment you can see I have to compress the phone. Importantly, it is sensitive everywhere. So you can see it activating there. It's sensitive to how it's deformed. These button type things are more calls to action. They're targets, and they provide different affordances in terms of interaction, so I can pluck and rub them and do different, squeeze them and twist them and do different things that way. They're physical advantages of an object like this, but it can be played in lots of different ways. It's sensitive everywhere. It's really has a range of different interaction possibilities. So here's my front panel. I've got a volume control. I've got these my twist tilt controls because it's sensitive to pressing and pushing, but it's also sensitive to twisting and tilting and things. But we'll come to that a bit later. Mono versus poly. Mono is one note at a time. So it's just playing the orange there. If I push harder on the green, I get green. But if I go poly, I can get up to 3 notes at a time, as long as I'm not pushing against myself, because it is the actual physical displacement of the sensor array that activates the sounds and the models, and we'll get into all of that stuff in a minute. So that's front panel. This is where I choose musical instruments. I just click on a picture. Let's choose a nylon plucked guitar. I have to wait a little moment for it to load. Not long, just a few seconds. He says, hoping, fingers crossed. Do hope the software behaves today. There we go. There we go. There's my guitar plucked string. You see now, playing it by wiggling it. Okay, so different ways of interacting. This is where I choose notes. I can use scales and set notes manually. I can tune it, I can transpose it, I can record samples in, I can do color following, I can do advanced settings to check, customize the sensitivity and interactivity of the object to suit an individual. Here's where I can record samples in. I can put my voice and go, ah! And then on the red one here, once we stop, to go, ah, there we go. We can do all kinds of things, and it will do MIDI. It's not actually, it can be a MIDI device. The sounds that it uses of its own are physical models, which are these very dynamic, interactive, high-quality, living, breathing virtual instruments that you can interface with using this object. It will do MIDI, which is more of a standard electronic synthesis triggering of sounds, and it has some nice, neat little hookups into GarageBand and Logic, and you can play all of those instruments as well. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what you've got there. You can do recording, you can use backing tracks, all kinds of stuff to see and talk about. But first off, I'd like to, let's go back to an instrument here. What I'd like to do, there we go. This mount's moving. So what I'd like to do first is show you 3 or 4 different examples of young people using Skoog, and then show you how to set those types of activity up in the software. And that should take us through the core things. I'd like to do a little bit on sampling, a little bit on MIDI, And hello? Now maybe that's better. I think you can hear me now. And I'd like to show you a couple of videos now, and I'll use the YouTube link to do so. I don't know whether you can respond, people who are viewing, about whether the sound is still looping around. I mean, I'm getting it okay on my machine now. Let's try turning on. You have to use these filters to filter all the sound through. No, that looks fine. All right, let's go to YouTube. I'm going to open this YouTube app that will pop up on your screen, and should then offer the opportunity to chat and okay, agree by YouTube's rules. I will do that. Now, hello, hello, hello. Yes, you can still see me. So I'm going to show you a first video, which is an example of Skoog being used in a PMLD context. So it's a PMD context in the United States, so profound and multiple disabilities. So type in Skoog and PMLD. That should, let's have a look for that. Here we go. That's the one I want to show. Now, I'm talking, yes, it's better. So hopefully let's set this buffer up, and I'm just going to, right. So this is an example with a young chap who has quite profound and multiple disabilities. Important thing with Kieran is he's completely blind, and this is one of the first times he's encountered Skoog. And what he's doing is, so the Skoog has been set to be a plucked string sound for him, because that's what he responded well to and preferred. And then what you do with Skoog, one of the key differences, and as opposed to having all the notes available all the time, you have 5 notes at a time. Now they can be changed, they can be updated. But what it means is, instead of presenting people with all the notes and saying, like, pick the right ones, you just give people a set of notes that are going to work for them at that moment or in that context. And so in this, there's some guitar backing going on, and the Skoog is simply set to be in the right key for the music, which means that through simply exploring the object and playing with it, Kieran is able to express himself musically. So let's let him do that. Now, is the sound working on that video? No one seems to be responding on sound. I'm not sure. Could you hear the sound of Kieran? I'm not getting any feed in my things. I'll keep it playing. If someone could give me a bit of feedback on and type into the group chat whether they can hear this video or not, that would be really useful. Anyway, so this is Kieran playing again. There you could hear that with different types of action he was getting different tone inflections. It's not a switch. So for someone like Kieran, it promotes him to explore moving different ways, and this kind of supports this type of therapeutic musical play. That's the easiest thing in the world to do with Skoog. Let's go back to a screen share and show you how you can do that. Now I'm hoping that I can get the software up and we can do some different. No, my sound flower bed is still having issues. So what you would do with Skoog in that instance, let me just start the software and let's try a screen share. So I'm going to go back to screen share here and show you how you would set up an activity like that for someone such as Kieran. And hello, screen share, desktop, start screen share. There we go. Come on, Google Plus. There we go. Here we are. So now you will be able to see my screen. You will see my software starting up. Hoping you can still hear me. So there we go. Go straight to Skoog. So in that example with Kieran, he was playing with his Skoog. He had it set with a guitar sound. So in order to do that, you would go to Instruments. Scroll down and you have the metal string guitar. Click on the image. Wait for the grey box to appear over the selected instrument. There it is, and now it's selected. And he had a little backing track playing. And so in order to have a look at backing tracks, there's loads of stuff that's free to download from the Skoog Music website. I'm going to have a quick on my machine, see what I can find. Do D major. All of the Skoog loops and supported resources have the key written on them, so you don't have to know exactly what key something's in. You should be able to just follow the instructions. As long as you can match the letters, that's all the musical knowledge you need. Right, what's happening here? Let's go here, do it here. There we go. D major. So I'm just going to drag that WAV file. So I'm going to load the WAV file in. It'll take MP3s as well. Then that starts playing, and then I just need to set the key in the Skoog to be D major. Go to the key, set major. Go to the tonic, set D, and that's it. It's all set up and ready to play. So let's go back in and see another example of Skoog, and that's just how easy it is to support let's stop the screen share. There we go. And that's really how simple it is to support that type of sort of therapeutic, improvised music making, and that can really go quite far. We work extensively with Skoog's been used a lot with autistic clients, and a kind of it's described as an improvising to empathize system. That therapists use, great for supporting that. In terms of music therapy, it's really, really a great resource in reference to allowing the client to lead in those situations. So as opposed to the, not having necessarily the skills or the musical, instrumental skills to be able to, play with an instrument, for instance, like the piano or the violin. With Skoog, they can play melodically, they can explore different instruments, and they can lead the session. And if you have two Skoogs, then the therapist can join in with that, and it's on a level playing field. So there's no sense of hierarchy then, and it's, we both have this instrument, we're both exploring it together, and we're both able to play and express ourselves, which is a really nice facet of Skoog. So that was a kind of a simple application. We'll go back to YouTube now. I haven't had any feedback from you guys in reference to the sound, so I'm hoping that that's working out all right. On my screen, as far as I can see, it looks like it's all right. So we're going back into the YouTube sharing, and I'm going to now have a look at the next example, which is Skoog. Let's try now. So this is here we go. An example. I'm going to just pause this before it starts. There we go. So hopefully, yes, you can still hear me. I can hear that. So the example you have on screen now is so that we saw Kieran was a sort of class therapeutic music making example of PLD. This would be a SLD example, and this is actually inclusive instrumental provision or orchestral work. So Stephanie, who you see in the clip, has cerebral palsy, and she is not able to use traditional instruments physically, and also she faces learning challenges in reference to using traditional script. But because the Skoog has these different coloured sides, then you can use coloured score, and actually we've just released a new pack that Maggie at Skoog has done, which actually allows you to go through learning traditional score as well, using the coloured surfaces and bringing people on and supporting them in a range of diverse learning environments. So that's something to look out for on the download section. So this is an example of Stephanie. She's playing in a mainstream orchestra, and she's playing a scored part, and that's the really crucial difference here. She's playing a scored part. Although her score is blocks of colour that she's reading, it's a scored part the same as anyone else's, and she's actually the soloist in this section. She plays beautifully, and this was an end of a long period of work where Stephanie was having regular Skoog lessons, as you would do with any other instrument, like the violinists or the cello players or the piano player. They all received their weekly lessons, they have to practice, and so did she. And so Skoog is great for play and for therapy, but it's also an instrument in its own right. One that is, when it's supported as such, someone can play in an orchestral context and really take quite far. So let's let Stephanie do that. Okay, so that was just a quick clip from that. It's a 12-minute piece. She plays a variety of solos using different voicings there. It's a clarinet chosen on the Skoog, and she's had to, they've done is, as opposed to using a scale, she's loaded in a specific set of notes to play a part. So let's have a look at how you do that on Skoog. Just a second. Let's go back to a screen share. There we go. And start the screen share. I'm just going to move that to the side quickly whilst I do this. So here's my screen, hopefully. Oh, we're still on YouTube. Let's get that going. Will that do it? Hello, screen share. On screen share. No? Well, let's screen share. Hello. There we go. There we go. Back again. Desktop, please. Thank you. And we'll put you to one side like that. So you should be able to see my desktop again. There we go. So here's my Skoog software, my Skoog. There we go. So with Stephanie, instead of having a scale, she had a predetermined set of notes that they had for her, and you load that just by clicking the Open File dialog, and then you would have to find. This is notes from our little lamb. Let's just open those. You open the file. See there, it changed the notes. And then she had the clarinet, so let's choose clarinet. There we go. And that's all there is to it. And then she was able to play, and the notes, and use the color and the colored score to facilitate that. Let's just have a quick look at an example of a score. This is one for Journeys Don't Stop Believing. It's quite a complex tune, actually. There's lots going on, but just to let's zoom in a bit, and let's zoom in again. There we go. But it's just blocks of colour. It's very concrete. It's very simple system. You see a colour, you press a colour. It's sequential, and if it's longer, you press for longer. If it's shorter, you press it shorter. The sizes are done. We do them relatively, and we provide packs free to download from the website. I'll go through those resources shortly that are online that show you, where those things are and how to use them and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do that. So that was, simply how you can support that. In order to set the notes as a music teacher yourself, let's just show you that very quickly. Go to the notes, and if you want to just set them manually, go to the scale box, click User Defined, then select a color. It will begin flashing on the keyboard, and then click somewhere on the keyboard, and it will change the color associated with that note. Very, very simple system. Okay, moving on a little bit, let's have a look at another example. I'm going to go back to my YouTube app. Sorry about that. Go back to my YouTube app. Now, sound is fine. Thank you, Anne Bartes. Good. It's not fine on my end, so I'm just going to soldier on. We have a very weird feedback thing happening at my side. So we'll answer that question. Thank you very much. And we'll say it's done. Okay. So the next example that I would want to have a look at is an example of inclusive practice within the mainstream classroom. So Skoog, let's put inclusion maybe. It's worth looking around on YouTube. There's lots and lots of different examples of Skoog being used in a variety of contexts. Stuff up today, some new things. Oh, now, yes, we're going to use new stuff uploaded today from Drake in Scotland. We had a visit from a young chap who's setting up some schools in Tel Aviv, actually, some schools, accessible music schools there, so that's exciting. So in this example, this is an example of a primary school in Orkney. And what you have is two young Skoog players who are playing their Skoogs, and Steve Miller, the teacher. This is a mainstream assembly performance, and everyone is included, and the two Skoog players included. One of them has cerebral palsy, but she has no learning difficulties associated with her cerebral palsy. And for her, it's simply a physical barrier that the Skoog is helping her to overcome. And in terms of, it can also support other learners in playing if they have issues in reference to reading score by using the coloured scores. So there's two different elements of kind of learning barriers being addressed, so both physical and cognitive, and let's just let them play. So they're playing the bass guitar part for this whistle group in a Friday assembly performance, and let's let them crack on with that. So yeah, there you have inclusive music. Is that making that? Provision and examples of Skoog being used in that. So that's another example. Again, it kind of reiterates technically the last example in terms of loading a set of notes, having that kind of score set out. An example of the score that they were using there. Let's show you that. Let's go back to screen share. And if I just open up a Safari window here, just do File, New Window, and if I can go to Screen Share, can I go to Screen Share? Let's go to Google. Start with Screen Share. So you should be able to see my hello, my Google window. I'm hoping. Screen Share, Google window. Come on. Yes, that's what you can see. Great. So in Google, if I go to my Google window, I type in Skoog. I go to the Skoog Music website. I'm just going to show you an example of some of these resources that we've got going on. So at the footer, I mean, if you sign, when you get Skoog, you get to create your own account, and then you'll be able to access all the resources from your account. If you're not logged into your account, you want to have a look, you can go down to the resources section, and here are all the different examples of things. So I'm just going to go straight to transcriptions here. There we go. And I'm actually going to download this little featured pack here. Feature download. It's going to take one very quickly. It should come down the back line. Oh look, have I downloaded that as well? Oh, I could show you that a bit later. That's one of our loops packs, you know, for using with backing tracks. So let this come down, and then I will open that up. And what this has in it, let's have a look. If we can switch my view on this screen share. There we go. If we switch it to my desktop, I will show you what's in this. There we go. Right. So on my desktop, that's coming down nicely. It's downloading quite quickly. May well be affecting my bandwidth here a little bit, but hopefully not too much. There it is. Oh, good. We've got all of those. Brilliant. Got those for later. Let's put that on the desktop actually. There we go. This is almost done. Decompressing, blah blah blah. There, learning traditional notations. This is a pack that we've done recently. All of our packs come with comprehensive lesson guides. So here's the PDF that shows you in this lesson. There we go. What you're going to learn, what you need, what it all means, how to make it work, blah blah blah. Lovingly crafted. Do take time to read the PDFs. So I'm going to start here. So there's backing tracks and stuff, but what I want to show you here is just the places to start. So here we've got the Skoog notation, which is just color. This is what you need to set the notes for. There's a note file there to load into Skoog, so we can do that very quickly. Go to our note section, select the note file, drag it here, the sanctoire and the outer. There we go. Notes are set. We can play along with that. And then when you get comfortable with that, you can then move on to looking at traditional notation like we have here. And here we've merged the kind of Skoog colored scores with the more traditional notation and talking, looking at traditional representations of rhythm. This is a whole pack of songs, and all done by Stravinsky actually. The 5 fingers, where the melody of the right hand on the piano, which has been transcribed, is all done with pretty much 5 notes. So that's just an example of taking it further in terms of that kind of those types of teaching methods and orchestration. Last clip, moving on here. Let's just move a few of these things. Let's see if we can go back to our Google Hang. Let's go back to me. Will that work? Hello? 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 I'd like to go back to stop my screen share. What do I need to do? Apologies for the... Oh, it's all gone a bit... Come on, spacey. There we go. Back. So, sorry, probably switching around. So we'll go back to YouTube. And now I'm going to just... This last clip that I want to play. Now there are lots more examples. And if you've got any specific questions of examples of types of Skoogs you'd like to see, please do. But this is moving on in ability again. So we've looked at PMLD, we've looked at SLD, MLD, mainstream inclusion with disabilities, and now I want to have a look at a high functioning autistic young lady. So if you haven't seen this, you really should. So this is a clip, and we'll just pull that up. Da 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 da. Hopefully it will load. It's not loading yet though. Hello? Is it just... Hello? Hello? Oh, come on. Right, well, let's stop it. Let's try it again, right. Okay, but I want to stop this one. Can I stop this one? I would like to play this one. Do I need to... Right. Okay. So we're back now. So I had to let the last clip reach the. So I'm just going to pause this just a second. So just talk a bit about the context of this. This is Sam. She's a high-functioning autistic young lady, and Sam is a fantastic musician. She's a fantastic singer. She's won awards for singing, and singing is her way of expressing herself and being creative. But what you see here is, hand on heart, this is about the second time I saw her do this. I met Sam at a convention, and her mum came up to me and said, you know, it's all right if Sam has a go with one of these. And I said, yes, of course, that's why I'm here. And she came up and said, what songs have you got that I could play? And really, that's an important point. Is there's no song you can't engage with. There's no music that you can't engage with. Skoog is a musical instrument that you can set to any key you like in the world. So realistically, the resources available to you are the entire catalogue of world music that is available through whatever means. But we do have within our own sort of Skoog songbook over 100 pop songs, lots and lots of more than 100 other songs, so nursery rhymes, classical tunes, show tunes, musicals, all kinds of stuff. And we try and cover a broad range of tastes. But so Sam here, she said, oh, I like that Journey song. Can we play that? So I've set the notes to cover the vocal melody, which is just 5 notes, it turns out. And she's just playing by ear, and I'll let her play for herself, but she is fantastic. And what it demonstrates is how intuitive Skoog is as an instrument and for people to use. And it really is about trying to connect you with the music that's inside you, with the music that you want to make, and freeing people up to be creative, be expressive, and to support their own musicality. And Skoog's background is from a long period of research in musicality and education across embedded projects in schools and with therapists and educators, all of that has been involved from Scotland, Harvard, all over the place. And it really is a coming together of some really cutting-edge thinking in reference to music and education and engagement and using technology that's enabling. So I'm going to let Sam play here, and she's going to play. She's following her. She's covering the vocal melody, and it takes her a couple of moments to work out where the notes are. She's just playing by ear. She's not following colours or anything. She's just playing and expressing herself, and let's let her rock it out. And she really is amazing. I mean, that's just to enable that kind of natural musicality, to let someone really just play it out like that. That is just sums up everything that we believe in at Skoog and what we're about. So I have encountered a minor technical difficulty. It's not with the Skoog itself in terms of the software. It's in terms of me being able to play you the actual play the Skoog whilst I'm online with you here. Now, I don't want to restart the webinar, and I just wondered if, of our two viewers, whether you have any specific questions about Skoog, or about how you might think about applying it, or whether you need any information further. If you could either use the Q&A box as we did before, and if you've got any questions, please type them in. Otherwise, I'm liable just to keep chatting for hours and hours and hours. And actually, one of the interesting things that Skoog really does provide is the opportunity for some really coherent sensory integration. And in reference to working with those students who struggle with either sensory overload or have issues in reference to sensory impairment, it really does offer something quite unique. The tactile nature of Skoog and the fact that it really, it provides a coherent three-dimensional response to what you're doing is one of the real strengths. I mean, in the research phases, it was a real a eureka moment. We've been working with a range of different sensors and all kinds of things, from beams, like kind of infrared beams, using accelerometers, all kinds of stuff, and these things that are less tangible. So in terms of, am I controlling that, and how do you control it? And as soon as we started placing sensors inside a tactile material and presenting young people with that, that's when we really saw the engagement leap. And it was a real game changer for us back in, that was in 2006, and just realizing that we had to make this thing a tactile, fun, engaging object. And the other reason for making it out of a tactile material, the other important thing is the tactileness is contingent. So what I do to this does control the sound. So if I squeeze it gently, the sound will be soft. If I squeeze it hard, it will be loud. And if I shake it, all these different things. And that's because we as human beings are designed to interface with this stuff, flesh, which no matter how much you work out is soft. Okay, we're made of malleable material, and that's what we're created to interface and interact with other human beings. I mean, most technology is like this. It's hard. And it's not very nice, and we can shape it to make it nice. But really, when we start to make things tactile and soft and squeezable and malleable, then we really begin to build upon our natural competences as organisms and exploit that. And that's really when you get that marriage between technology that's actually designed to work with as opposed to against, or technology that we don't have to try and adapt ourselves to use. That's really what's behind the application of Skoog. And so, I haven't any specific questions come up in the Q&A box. I don't know if there's any readout in reference to the chat. What does that mean? Recommended app drawer? No idea. Nothing in the messages. Let's have a quick look in the chat. No, it seems to be fine. So on that, if there are no specific questions, if you're in the States, I would recommend, we have two main resellers in the States if you're interested in looking at getting Skoog. One is Westminster Technologies, who are a great assistive technology specialist. They really know how they know their technology, and they are really engaged individuals, and they have a really deep background in understanding how to apply systems in a range of different contexts, and I would really recommend them. And from the sort of music technology side of things, we also have Romeo Music, who are over in Texas, and they are a great music technology supplier in reference to education, and they have great experience there, and then great knowledge in terms of applying technology in those contexts. So do get in touch, and do get in touch with us if you have any questions, or if there's anything that you want to know about at Skoog, how you might use it with students. We're happy to answer these kind of questions. I mean, Skoog is something that we're passionate about, and engaging young people in music is something that we're really passionate about. Music is a human right. Too often it's put aside as the preserver, perhaps the gifted or privileged, and there is no one that is not musical, and there is no one who will not benefit from the opportunity to engage in music making. And once we support our young people in a way that enables them to achieve what they wish to achieve and to engage in the activities they want to engage in, that's when we'll see engagement, and that's when we'll see fun. And when you're having fun, you will learn. There's no two ways about it. If you're enjoying yourself, whatever you're doing, you'll be benefiting from it and enjoying and learning from it. And learning should be fun. And I truly believe that it's called playing music because it should feel like play. And that's what we're all about. So I think I'm going to sign off there. I'm sorry I wasn't able to do more technical work-throughs with the software and stuff, but there are videos online on our resources section. If you go to the resources section of our website, go down to the footer of the page, and in the right-hand column there's a resources section, and there are tutorial videos. And each of those is a screen share video showing you how I'm manipulating the Skoog, and for each individual task, such as how do I set the notes, how do I choose instruments, how do I use the sampler, how do I connect with MIDI, how do I use scores, how can I compose my own scores. All of these different functions and resources are laid out subject by subject in a neat kind of short minute or 2 minute long video. It doesn't take any time, and you can pause it, you can see where the mouse is clicking on the screen, so you can use that. And I just invite you to explore our website, explore our resources, and please, please, please get in touch with any questions, or if you have any ideas or suggestions about topics for future webinars in terms of drilling down to specifics. I do offer various webinars in relation to autistic applications. I do webinars in relation to using the sampling functions for cross-curricular work, engaging in speech and language therapy, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, orchestral music provision. We can help with that, and how you might use Skoog to support an inclusive band. In the States, I know there's a lot of these life skills classes where you may have students of varying abilities engaged in the same group, and we can help with how you can use Skoog in those contexts. And it's just important to remember that it's about fun, it's about making music, engaging with technology, and using something that's going to grow and work with an individual. Crucially, Skoog can, all the settings can be saved, so it can be set up in one way for one user, and then can be taken to a different site and used by another user in a completely different way. And it's really adaptable in that context. So I hope you've enjoyed listening. I hope you found it useful, and I look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, have a great weekend. The sun is shining here in Scotland for a change, so we plan to get out there and hopefully see a bit of it. And I wish you all the best. Take care.